think of a man fumbling like a baddie, like a 5-star chick, is flying first class. You are regularly flying first class, but first class is expensive. First class is hard to keep up with. So you convince yourself, you're like, you know what? For this flight, I'm just gonna fly coach. And then coach isn't that bad. And you're like, it's not even half the price. It's not even like a third of the price of first class. Why don't I just fly coach more often? It's cheaper, and honestly, it's not that bad.
That's the point.
I hate to break it to you, sister, but you are most certainly not first class in this analogy. You're not even economy class. You're the type of woman that gets kicked off a plane for screaming too loud. Now, as a guy who's actually flown first class, I can tell you, yeah, it's nice enough, but it's not something that I want to spend thousands of dollars on regularly, especially for something I'm only going to be using for a couple of hours at a time. Now, the other thing that you're forgetting is that regardless if you're flying in first class or economy or wherever, you're going to the exact same destination. Now, woman, you are most certainly not first class. We all know it, so we might as well get that little pleasantry out of the way first. You assume that you're first class because you're stuck up and entitled. Then you demand too much money for precious little payoff, but that goes without saying. But the only way that I would consider you to be true first class is if you were segregated from the rest of the upstanding people so we didn't have to deal with your face. And in that regard, yeah, I would agree that you're first class. So now go lock yourself up in a closet and leave the rest of us alone already.
And then all it takes is being sat next to one crying baby, getting your chair kicked from behind, feeling tight and cramped, your TV stops working. All it takes is that one flight that reminds you, shit. Now you're thinking back to how amazing that first class seat was, and man, I wish I could go back to that first class seat. I should try flying first class again.
You don't know what words mean, do you?
Okay, woman, I need to try to take a second here and make sense of your metaphor because it's driving me crazy. So you are clearly representing yourself as first class. You're overpriced and you're way too wide. Yeah, I get that. And now you're saying that the dudes who don't want to date you are now going after women in economy, and apparently those are filled with nothing but kickers and screaming babies. Like, you're saying that if that one time they have one bad experience on a date, then all of a sudden they're going to wish that they could be back with you? Lady, you do realize that they're avoiding you for a reason, right? We all have had bad experiences when it comes to this stuff, but that doesn't mean we automatically wish for that one person who made us incredibly miserable. It's life. It happens from time to time. But just because we have one or two bad experiences doesn't mean that we're going to want to wish to be with you once again, because you are just not worth it. We left you for a reason. Now, you could say that we fumbled you, but in reality, we just threw you to the ground and ran away because sometimes it's just not worth it.
Oh, but the prices are astronomical now, and since I've been sitting back in coach for the past few months, you know what? I haven't been even hustling as hard as I was. I haven't even been upkeeping with myself as hard as I was when I was flying first class, and I had to keep up with flying first class. So now the prices are astronomical and I can't even get back in first class. So I'm stuck in coach with this child kicking my seat from behind, hustling even 10 times harder than I was before, trying to figure out, how am I going to get that first class flight again? I did it before. How am I going to get it again? Because this kid kicking my chair, it's got to go.
What?
All right, woman, I don't even see how this can make sense even in your own head. I'm so confused as to what you're trying to say that the metaphor makes no sense at all. So I'm going to try to pick it apart here. Now, you're saying that you're first class and the kicking baby represents the women in coach, I think, and somehow you are in control of the class economy of commercial aircraft. And because you're offended that this guy decided not to fly with someone who's stuck up and insufferable, that means that you can arbitrarily increase the price on something he never wanted to purchase in the first place as punishment for him not wanting to originally fly with you. I think. I can't make sense of any of this, lady. It's like, do you just want to fly first class on a big airplane? I mean, is that what this is about? Are you so sick and tired of having to fly like the rest of us plebs because that's what you are? Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, first class can be nice, but if you want to fly on that big, beautiful bird in the sky in first class, then you're going to need to get a job and pay for the exorbitant fee yourself, lady.
You have had the frontal lobe of your brain removed and replaced with bubble wrap.
Did y'all see that viral tweet of the guy that was going on a first date and he brought her flowers and he was like, I'm really nervous, guys, like I haven't gone dating in a while. And all the women were like, that's so sweet you brought flowers, like good luck, king. And all the men were like, why the fuck would you bring her flowers? Like women don't like flowers. Are you dumb? Online dating is already a shit show, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that y'all are just paying OnlyFans models to be nice to you, so you can't fucking comprehend what it would be like for women to actually like you, because they probably never will.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Here we go again. You know, the stupid flowers argument is so incredibly pointless that it kind of boggles the mind why we're still talking about it. Modern women don't give a crap about flowers. It's been established. They care about who is giving them the flowers. If you have an average guy who shows up at a modern woman's front door with a bouquet of hyper-expensive roses, she's going to take one look at that guy and say that he did the bare minimum to maintain her attention for 5 seconds before she quickly logs on to Google to diagnose that very same guy as a love-bombing, toxic, narcissistic misogynist who voted for some guy that she didn't much care for. No, it is only a romantic gesture if it's done by the very same men who don't have to do that. Now, Chad could show up at your front door with a handful of half-dead dandelions, and you'll think of it as a romantic gesture that needs to be included in that boring-ass screenplay known as your life. And even if what I said wasn't true, it doesn't matter anyways. No self-respecting man is going to buy you flowers for the first date. You need to earn that particular expenditure, woman, and there's no chance in HE double hockey sticks that any man is going to waste that kind of money on a woman who is a clear waste of oxygen.
We do have this money.
I'm getting ready to go out. That's why I actually have a face on for these. I met this man in Whole Foods in person, not online. And I didn't look like this. I was coming from the gym. It was like midday, whatever. He wanted to go do coffee as a first date. I don't like coffee. I find it cheap. I find it lazy. I find it way too easy. I like get coffee with my friends. I've never smashed off a coffee date, most importantly, so it's kind of a waste of both our times.
Why, you hungry?
Hang on just a second. What does not smashing after meeting a dude for coffee have to do with anything? And why is that worthy of a most importantly? Is that a badge of honor or something? I mean, there's nothing wrong with a coffee date, woman. In fact, it's a solid standby. It's cheap, it's something that can be done during daylight hours, it's low effort, low stress, and you don't have to worry about wearing elaborate clothing. And on the plus side, there are multiple exits in the building in the event of dating cringe or zombie apocalypse, whichever one comes first. No, the reason why you don't like coffee dates is because you won't be able to bilk this dude for a free plate of food. That's the long and the short of it right there. A self-respecting man has every right to see if you're even worth taking out to dinner, and he does that with the coffee date test. If you're down for coffee, it's a sign that you're actually interested in seeing him and getting to know him instead of his wallet. But if you take offense to the mere notion of a coffee date, then you've not only insulted him, but you've also proven that you're not even worth the 15 minutes it would take for him to make an excuse to ditch you for the zombies.
And he was like, how has no man ever taken you for coffee before? And I was like, I tell them no, haha. When he texted, we were very flirty. Like, he was like, hey, this is your forever bae. And I was like, you're cute. Like, he was funny in person, very chatty, personable, came up to me, didn't seem like he had some screws loose, whatever. So he was like, why? You want to go skydiving instead? It was aggressive, but I think he's being funny. And I was like, LOL, absolutely not. I do enjoy dinner, not because I can't afford it.
I sure hope somebody picks up that phone.
Do what?
Because I f***ing called it!
And there it is. Lady, let me assure you, this guy was not being flirty. He is now annoyed with you. He took the initiative and asked you out on a date. He was interested in getting to know you, and you threw it back in his face because it didn't involve an overpriced plate of cooked meat. And instead of just accepting a cup of coffee, which would have been perfectly fine, you threw it back in his face and immediately suggested that you'd only see him if he was going to take you out to dinner. We've bypassed the point of flirtation and landed directly in the land of umbrage. You have instantaneously lost all attraction with this guy because you are now effectively insulting him because you didn't get your way on something. You're saying that he's only good enough to date if he's buying you food to which you can't afford. And I hate to break it to you, sister, but men don't like being treated that way. And considering the mindless entitlement that's been running rampant in the dating world for the last decade, men have determined that their self-respect is far more valuable than watching an ungrateful hussy enjoy a free meal on his dime.
And I give my explanation because we didn't chat too much in the store. Like, this is the same day we also met. And I want to know these important things. Are you rude to the waiter? Do you have 8,000 allergies? Can you hold a fork? Like, if you're a lefty, you're probably like knuckling that thing. It's very funny. And he was like, I don't know you and you want me to take you to dinner? What is wrong with you? LOL. I think we're still kidding a little. Sometimes I just don't use my brain. I think we're still kidding because, again, this wasn't his aggressive personality in the store.
It's simple!
Woman, if your observation skills are as keen as your text interpretations, then going out to dinner with this dude is not going to answer any of your questions. Here's the rub. This guy is not being aggressive. He's sticking up for himself, and he's being firm in his beliefs and is most certainly not going to be buying you dinner when he doesn't know the first thing about you. Now, he does know the score. He's been around the block long enough to know a dinner mooch when he sees one, so he has the firm boundary that he's not going to buy a date dinner unless she deserves it. And you haven't done a damn thing to prove it to him. You're just butthurt over the fact that he won't simp for you by caving in. And you think that because he's sticking up for himself, that means he's aggressive and needs to be put on blast on your pathetic excuse for a TikTok channel. But all this really does is prove to men everywhere that a woman isn't worthy of a dinner if she can't stunningly and bravely buy her own damn cup of coffee.
And I was like, the chances of being are low during the dinner. You are insane and a nut job. Goodbye. Women like you are gross.
Good answer. Good answer. I like the way you think. I'm gonna be watching you.
So, ladies, they're not all online. They're also in Whole Foods, these crazy men. Also, new nails. They're little Valentine's-ies. Yeah, so we didn't go out.
Right on, brother, I hear you. Man, I hear you.
Oh, woman, you are going to be shocked at how many self-respecting men are on this planet. And rest assured, they don't just shop at overpriced artisan grocery stores. They can also be found at regular supermarkets. They're at the gas station, the local mini golf course, the axe throwing range, not to mention literally everywhere else. Men have had enough of the crap that you keep throwing at us, so we're just giving it back with the kind reminder that you're crazy if you think that men are just going to simp for you because you're hungry and all you have to your name is a maxed out credit card and a bad attitude. We have better uses of our time and money, neither of which involve you in any capacity. And all of this could have been avoided if you just agreed to the stupid coffee date. But hey, by taking needless offense to this guy's idea for coffee, you already showed him that you're a gross psycho lady that's not worth his time. So you saved him a bunch. So I guess we should probably thank you in that regard. So here's a celebration that's all worthy for you, darling.
Woo! Hey! Hey!
Want to give a special shout out to the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon for their continued support of my work as I continue to get out content to all you fine gentlemen and gents out there in internet land every single day. So thank you so much for your support, gentlemen and gents. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting my work, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. You can also support the channel by liking this video, sharing, leaving comments, and if you enjoy my particular brand of comedy, then I hope I've earned your subscription today.
Men love the idea of having a baddie girlfriend, but the second they have a baddie girlfriend, they cannot hack it, and they hate the fact that she is a baddie, and that she knows who she is, and that she's confident in herself, and that she's an independent woman. And it needs to be talked about, genuinely. Because I truly believe it's a man's duty, at least once in his life, to fumble a 10 out of 10 girl. Yeah? Every man has done it. They will at least once in their life fumble the baddest bitch.
Are we the baddies?
Lady, you're not a baddie. I don't trust you with a pair of switchblade knives to take on Freddy Krueger, and you're not capable of rescuing the president from the army of ninjas that kidnapped him. It's just not possible. Now, if you were a baddie, I would say it's more on par with some leftover takeout that you kept on your table for 4 days, and the food has gone bad. It's not edible, sustainable, or even pleasant smelling. It's attracting all sorts of bugs and other unwanted guests that nobody asked for, and then on top of all of it, you're growing all sorts of things that shouldn't be growing on your body. But instead of mold, we're just gonna go ahead and be kind and say that it's just herpes. Now, the guys are not fumbling you. To fumble means to unintentionally lose you, but that's not what these guys are doing. They are intentionally throwing you away because you're not worth keeping. There's nothing to salvage. And when you take a look at what a dude will do to salvage chip dip, that's saying something.
It's like something they never fail to do, and it's because they love the idea of having a baddie. But the second they do, they just, cannot, process the fact that their girlfriend is amazing. And I feel like they get jealous. It's weird. Not even jealous, but very insecure. I'm not saying this for all men, but a lot of men are very terrified of secure, independent women that know who they are.
Well, that's just it, woman. You have absolutely no idea who you are. All you do is throw around generic quote-unquote qualities like strong, independent, secure, and lest we forget baddie. And come to think of it, you don't even know what the hell a baddie is. It was a meme for the longest time that the baddies referred to the Nazis of World War II. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you are not a supporter of the Third Reich, which is the closest thing to a compliment that I can actually give you, by the way. But it seems to me like if a woman is a 21st century baddie, then she has no personality, is profoundly insufferable, and makes all sorts of odd ransom demands of the men who date her while providing next to nothing in return. And when that man ultimately leaves her, for the sake of his own sanity no less, that man is somehow going to regret his decision to maintain his peace when it comes to a woman with no personality, but with all of the negative qualities of a spoiled child. Okay, yeah, if that makes me insecure, then I will wear that label like a badge of freaking honor.
I find that men are very intimidated by women that set boundaries from the get-go and don't accept shit. And it's proven, it's so proven. For example, my boundaries are very, in place. You do me wrong once, you're done. It's like that. And you find that men hate that. They genuinely hate it because they're I don't know, they'll just block you out of pettiness because you're not giving them what they want.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Well, that's where you're just wrong, Krusty Jugs. Those men aren't blocking you because they're trying to belittle you. They're blocking you because you are obsessed with them. These are men who've had it with your crap. They're not willing to put up with any form of mistreatment from you because you've made it clear that you are effectively worthless. You have nothing of any value to offer them. We can already tell that you don't cook, you won't clean, and you're incapable of providing any sense of peace or comfort. And when they ultimately quote-unquote fumble you, they're going to block you, not out of pettiness, but because they're so sick of you that they don't want to see the words that you can't even spell correctly. Blocking out of pettiness is something that you do to guys when they won't submit to your will. And that number of men is dwindling by the day, sweetheart. But that's only because those men have better things to do than stomach your crap.
I think a big reason why they're so intimidated by an independent girl is because they know that the girl doesn't need them. The girl is comfortable being by themselves and the boyfriend is just a bonus in their life. I don't know, and they just get so in their head with the fact that they are not actually needed, and like a girl can actually survive without a man, that they feel like they're not worthy. And then what do? What do they do as a result? They put their girlfriend down and they try to make their girlfriend act like, they try to make their girlfriend feel this small. They really do.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby! Don't you put that on us!
Woman, a self-respecting man isn't going to waste his time belittling you if he thinks that you're strong and independent. He's just going to ignore you and move on with his life. Now, there are a group of people out there who will constantly mock, belittle, and straight up verbally abuse the other person in question. They typically do it when they think they're stuck with someone who's beneath them, someone who feels like they should be lucky to have them in their lives, and that they need to be constantly reminded that if that person isn't constantly stepping up, then they are effectively worthless. And those are the types of people that are also known as baddies. Baddies are notorious for putting everyone around them down for all sorts of insane reasons, and the second someone stands up for themselves to a baddie, all of a sudden that man is an insecure and abusive. Well, answer me this, woman. Who's more insecure? The dude who puts his foot down and won't take any of your crap, or the woman who posts cringe on TikTok? Go ahead and take 5 years to figure that one out. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.